Chapter 1. The first habit: shrinking your desires to match your comfort zone. You've healed. You've let go of what once broke you. You've reclaimed your boundaries, learned to say no, learned to rest. For the first time in a long time, your life feels yours. And yet, there's a subtle, almost invisible pull to stay right where you are. Not because it's where you want to end up, but because it's where you feel safe. This is the first habit that quietly stops you from living the freedom you've earned. Shrinking your desires to fit your comfort zone. The hidden comfort trap. When you've lived in chaos, peace feels like a miracle. When you've been silenced, having your voice heard feels revolutionary. When you've been trapped, freedom feels almost too good to be real. So you stop there, not because you're ungrateful, but because the leap from safety to expansion feels almost dangerous. It's like you've escaped a cage, but you're still standing just outside the door. The open field is there. The sky is endless, but the doorway feels familiar. And familiarity is seductive. Carl Jung would call this a liminal space, the in-between, where you are no longer who you were, but not yet who you're becoming. It's a space that can feel both sacred and suffocating. And here's the truth. If you stay here too long, you start to unconsciously shrink your dreams to fit the size of your comfort zone. How it shows up, you tell yourself you're just being realistic when you lower your goals. You convince yourself you're content when really you're avoiding risk. You choose opportunities that feel easy rather than ones that challenge you to grow. You silence the bigger visions because they would require you to be more visible, more vulnerable, more alive. And maybe you even convince yourself that you don't want more. But deep down, you feel the quiet ache, the longing for something beyond your current reality. Why it's hard to let desire grow again. From a Jungian perspective, desire is the language of the self, the deepest part of you that knows why you're here. But if desire has been punished, shamed, or ignored in your past, it becomes tangled with fear. If as a child, you were told not to want too much. If as a partner, you were told your needs were too demanding. If as a woman, you've been taught that ambition is selfish, then freedom itself can feel threatening because it awakens the very desires you were taught to suppress. So even when life opens up, you might find yourself keeping it small. Not because you can't have more, but because part of you still believes it's not safe to want more. The cost of staying small. The tragedy is freedom loses its fullness when it's not used. It becomes a concept rather than a lived experience. You end up with a life that's free from pain, but not full of possibility. A life that's technically yours, but not yet you. You can decorate the walls of your comfort zone all you want. But if you never walk beyond them, you're still contained. Breaking the habit, the shift begins with honesty. Ask yourself, am I lowering my dreams to match my comfort? Am I calling it gratitude when it's actually fear? Am I staying safe because I want to, or because I'm scared to want more? And then, start with one brave act. Not a giant leap, but a stretch. A conversation you've been avoiding. A step toward the project you've been too busy to start. A yes to the opportunity that makes your stomach flutter with both excitement and nerves. Because every time you stretch, you teach your nervous system that it's safe to grow. You prove to yourself that desire is not a threat. It's a compass. The woman you're becoming doesn't shrink to fit the walls she's already outgrown. She doesn't apologize for wanting more. She doesn't dim her vision to make others comfortable. She understands that freedom isn't just about removing what limited her. It's about using that freedom to create what calls to her. And the first step, letting her desires grow to match her soul, not just her comfort zone, because the open field is waiting. And you didn't survive all that you did just to stand at the doorway. Chapter 2. The second habit, saying yes out of old obligation. Freedom is a beautiful thing until you realize you're still living by rules you no longer believe in. You've done the hard work to step out of relationships, careers, and patterns that drained you. You've learned to set boundaries. You've learned that no can be a complete sentence. But somehow, yes still slips out of your mouth when your heart is screaming no. Not because you truly want to, not because it's aligned, but because saying yes is a reflex, a muscle memory built from years of keeping the peace, pleasing others, and earning your place. This is the second habit that quietly stops you from living the freedom you've earned. Saying yes out of old obligation, the ghost rules. You still follow old obligations are like ghosts. They linger long after the contract has ended. You may not consciously agree with them anymore, but they still whisper in the back of your mind. Don't let them down. They'll be disappointed. You owe them. And sometimes the person you owe isn't even in your life anymore. It's a parent's voice telling you to always put others first. It's an old boss's praise for working late. It's the unspoken family rule that women are supposed to be endlessly available. Carl Jung would say, "This is the complex at work, an emotional pattern so deeply embedded in your psyche that it overrides your conscious intentions. Even in freedom, the complex can keep you bound. How it steals your freedom. Every unnecessary yes is a piece of your time, your energy, your presence, given away without intention. And when enough of those pieces are gone, you wake up one day wondering why your free life feels just as busy, just as heavy, just as not yours, as the one you fought so hard to leave. Because here's the truth. Freedom isn't just about what you walk away from. It's about what you no longer give away without choice. Why we keep saying yes. From a Jungian lens, old obligations are tied to identity. If your self-worth was built on being the dependable one, the good friend, the always-there daughter, or the team player, then saying no feels like a betrayal of who you are, even if that you is outdated. And deep down, there's a fear. If I stop saying yes, will people stop valuing me? If I stop overgiving, will love still stay? If I put my needs first, will I become selfish? This is why so many women step into freedom, but never really inhabit it. They've removed the walls, but they're still carrying the chains. The subtle forms of old obligation. It's not always obvious. Sometimes it shows up as agreeing to help with something that drains you just this once, for the 5th time. Taking on work you don't want, because you're the best at it. Staying in conversations that cross your boundaries, because you don't want to be rude. Attending events you dread, because they'll notice if you're not there. Each time you convince yourself it's harmless. But these small yeses are the quiet thieves of your freedom. Breaking the habit. Step 1 is awareness. Notice the moment you feel that old pull to say yes. The tightness in your chest, the subtle dread, the mental list of excuses you start rehearsing to justify it. Step 2 is pause. Don't answer right away. Give yourself the space to ask, if I were truly free, would I choose this? If there were no expectations, would I still want to do this? Step 3 is practice. Saying no will feel uncomfortable at first. Not because it's wrong, but because your nervous system used to equating other people's comfort with your safety. Every time you say no with integrity, you retrain your body to understand that your worth isn't tied to compliance. The woman you're becoming doesn't say yes out of guilt. She doesn't give her time because she's afraid of losing love. She doesn't measure her value by how much she sacrifices. She gives from overflow, not obligation. She helps because she chooses to not, because she's trapped in an old identity. She knows that a real yes can only come from a place where a no was equally possible. And when she says yes, it's powerful because it's honest. The freedom you've earned is too precious to give away in small, unthinking yeses. Every time you honor your no, you make more space for the yeses that will actually expand your life. Because the life you fought for isn't just about having options. It's about having the courage to choose the ones that truly belong to you. Chapter 3. The third habit: carrying old fears into a new life. You've left the relationship, you've changed the job, you've built new boundaries, claimed your space, created a life that looks nothing like the one you walked away from. And yet, some nights when it's quiet, the same fears still find you. Not because you're still trapped, but because part of you is still living as if you are. This is the third habit that quietly stops you from living the freedom you've earned. Carrying old fears into a new life. The unbedient baggage. It's a strange thing to be free on the outside, but still braced for danger on the inside. You move through the world with more choice than ever before, but your body still flinches at certain tones of voice. You have more agency, but you still second-guess decisions, wondering if you'll get in trouble. You can walk away now, but you still find yourself explaining, defending, justifying, as if someone has the power to take away what you've built. This is what happens when the nervous system hasn't caught up with your reality. Jung would call it the unconscious residue, the emotional imprints left by past experiences that continue to shape your reactions long after the circumstances have changed. Why old fears linger? Fear is adaptive. It's designed to protect you. When you've been hurt, abandoned, belittled, or controlled, your mind and body learn to scan for signs of danger. They keep those patterns on repeat because for a long time they kept you alive. But here's the paradox. What once kept you safe can in freedom keep you small. The old fears tell you, don't stand out, it's safer that way. Don't trust too much, you'll get hurt again. Don't take that leap. You'll fail like before. And even though you're no longer in the environment where those fears were born, they still dictate the way you move. The safe zone becomes the new cage. It's not that you don't dream anymore, you do. It's not that you don't want more, you do. But fear has a way of disguising itself as realism. You'll tell yourself you're being cautious when you're really avoiding risk. You'll call it being wise when it's actually staying small. You'll frame it as learning from the past when you're actually still living in it. The truth is you can take the woman out of the cage, but if you don't unlearn the fear, the cage comes with her. How this steals your freedom. Freedom isn't just about physical space or new opportunities. It's about emotional presence. If you're still reacting to life through the lens of old fears, you're not experiencing your present. You're replaying your past. That means every choice is filtered through a question that no longer belongs to you. What if it happens again? And as long as that question drives you, you're not free. You're just avoiding pain, releasing the residue. The work here is not to shame yourself for still being afraid. Fear is part of being human. The goal is to notice when the fear in your body belongs to an old story, not your current reality. One way to do this, when fear rises, pause and ask, is this fear about what's in front of me or what's behind me? If it's about the past, gently remind yourself, that was then. This is now. Sometimes you'll need to say it more than once. Sometimes you'll need to breathe into it. Let your body feel the difference between old danger and current safety. Over time, the nervous system learns. The fear loosens. And you begin to respond to life as the woman you are now, not the one who had to survive back then. The woman you're becoming. The woman you're becoming still listens to her intuition, but she doesn't confuse it with fear. She trusts herself to handle what comes. She lets herself take up more space, take bigger risks, step into rooms she once avoided. She lives from a place of what's possible, not what might go wrong. She knows that she can't guarantee she'll never be hurt again, but she refuses to let the ghost of the past decide how alive she gets to be. Because the freedom she's earned is not just the absence of chains, it's the presence of choice. And choice only exists in the present moment, not in the shadows of yesterday. You've worked too hard to carry the cage with you. It's time to set it down, to feel the weight leave your shoulders, to step forward without looking back. Because the woman you are today, she's ready for a life that fear no longer edits. Chapter 4. The fourth habit, resisting joy. Because it feels unfamiliar. You've worked your way out of survival. You've reclaimed your voice, your choices, your life. And now, for the first time in years, joy is within reach. It shows up quietly at first, in the laughter that feels unforced, in the way your body feels lighter when you wake up, in the sudden realization that nothing is wrong in this moment. And yet, instead of sinking into it, you pull back. You scan the horizon for the thing that might ruin it. You start mentally preparing for the moment it all goes away. This is the fourth habit that quietly stops you from living the freedom you've earned. Resisting joy because it feels unfamiliar, when joy feels dangerous. Carl Jung wrote that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. But for many women, the more terrifying thing is to accept happiness completely. When you've lived years with tension in your shoulders, worry in your chest, and heaviness. In your heart, joy can feel like a stranger. You don't quite trust. It feels too light, too open, too easy. And easy feels dangerous when you've been trained to expect the other shoe to drop. So you protect yourself the only way you know how, by not letting the joy all the way in. The unconscious. Loyalty to pain. From a Jungian perspective, part of you may still be unconsciously loyal to the identity you had in your pain. Maybe people knew how to relate to you when you were struggling. Maybe your community, your friendships, your sense of self were built around overcoming difficulty. Joy disrupts that narrative. It says, you're not in that story anymore. And even though that's a good thing, it can leave you wondering, who am I, without the struggle. Without realizing it, you can find ways to keep a little bit of struggle close, just enough to feel like yourself. How we resist joy without knowing it doesn't always look like outright sabotage. Sometimes it's subtle. Downplaying good news so others won't feel jealous. Quickly moving to the next goal instead of savoring the moment. Distracting yourself with tasks so you don't have to feel too much happiness at once. Reminding yourself of all the ways it could still fall apart. Each of these is a way of keeping joy at arm's length, so it can't hurt you if it leaves. The nervous system's role. Your nervous system is wired to find normal and keep you there. If normal was once stress, conflict, or scarcity, then joy feels dysregulating. Your body doesn't recognize it as safe yet. So the work isn't to force joy. It's to let your body learn that joy can be safe too. That means slowing down when joy appears, breathing into it instead of rushing past it, letting it expand in your body for a few seconds longer each time. The woman you're becoming. The woman you're becoming doesn't treat joy as an intruder. She welcomes it like the homecoming it is. She lets herself laugh without scanning for danger. She lets herself be fully present without rehearsing an escape plan. She stops editing her own happiness for the comfort of others. She understands that joy isn't a prize you have to earn over and over. It's a natural state that's been waiting for her under all the layers of survival. Choosing joy without apology. This is where your freedom becomes real. When you allow yourself to not just be free from what hurt you, but to be filled with what heals you. When you trust that joy doesn't make you naive, that happiness doesn't mean you're forgetting your past, It means you're no longer living inside it. That embracing joy isn't tempting fate. It's claiming your birthright. Because the truth is, the life you've earned is already here. And the more you let joy all the way in, the more you'll realize. This isn't too good to be true. This is exactly what you were made for. The freedom you've earned is sacred. It's not just a change in circumstances, it's the return of your own life to your own hands. But freedom isn't a one-time victory. It's something you choose again and again in the smallest, quietest moments. Every time you let your desires grow beyond your comfort zone. Every time you say no to what's not yours anymore. Every time you set down an old fear instead of carrying it forward. Every time you let joy all the way in without apology. You're not just protecting your freedom, you're living it. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." These habits, the shrinking, the unnecessary. Yes, the old fears, the resistance to joy, are the unconscious ways we give our freedom back. But once you see them, you have a choice. You can step beyond the threshold of safety into the fullness of your life. You can choose a yes that's real and a no that's whole. You can live in the present instead of replaying the past. You can welcome joy like the homecoming it is. If this message resonated with you, share it in the comments by writing, "I choose my freedom every day." Or tell me which habit you're ready to release so we can hold that intention together. And if you know another woman who has fought for her freedom but still feels held back, send this video to her. Sometimes all it takes is someone naming the pattern to help her see a new way forward. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for choosing yourself. And thank you for being brave enough to live not just without chains, but with a heart wide open to what's possible. Until next time, stay awake, stay free, and never forget the life you've earned is meant to be lived in full color.